Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, the three pillars of TCGs, the three oldest and most well known. Well, what if I told you they had a fourth hidden sibling that most people don't know about? After blocking Mirko's attack of the female Titan's roundhouse kick, Ryu uses United States of Smash, buffing its speed and damage using all the enhancements available and knocking Mirko out cold. Part 1. What is Universus? Universus, also known as UVS, formerly Universal Fighting System, or UFS, is an IP-based fighting game inspired trading card game. Okay, but what does that mean? Where Magic the Gathering drew inspiration from traditional fantasy motifs in TTRPGs like Dungeons & Dragons, Yu-Gi-Oh! Having its roots in being a Magic the Gathering parody, and Pokemon being based upon its video games, Universus gets its core mechanics and ideas from fighting games like Street Fighter and Soul Calibur. How does it do that? Very good question. However, before we get into the specifics of how the game plays, we first need to go over Part 2, the history of Universus. 2006, the year of the Nintendo Wii, Justin Timberlake brings Sexy back, and Ice Age 2 The Meltdown. While all these culturally significant events were transpiring, a little known TCG designer Ryan Miller and his co-worker David Freeman published their new TCG, Universal Fighting System. Reviews upon launch are hard to find, but future sets around the time give the game mixed to favourable reviews. The two would continue to release sets together until the 2008 set Shadow War, and eventually Ryan Miller would move on from designing the game after the game changed publisher from Sabretooth Games to Fantasy Flight Games in 2009. Speaking of the changeover, we should talk about eras. Universus is split into 4 distinct eras, all separated by their publisher. These are Sabretooth Games, Fantasy Flight Games, Jasco Games, and UVS Games. While a seemingly arbitrary distinction for eras, these are important when we come to talking about the different formats of the game, but that's a topic for later on. Back to the history. 2010 comes around, and Fantasy Flight Games, being unfamiliar with TCGs, were unable to maintain good sale numbers and had ruined their reputation with the game by shipping untested product and then subsequently cancelling the game. After poorly managing and tanking the game, the rights were up for grabs, so in comes Jasco Games, spearheaded by Jason Horonsky, and then they take the game off them. From 2010 to 2021, Jasco fires on all cylinders and makes this the best the game has ever been. We're not only getting more video game sets like Mortal Kombat and Mega Man, but we're even getting properties such as Cowboy Bebop and Yu Yu Hakusho, and even more original IPs like World of Indeeds and Red Horizon. UVS, if you're listening, please bring back Red Horizon. Love you. However, come 2021, Jasco Games was struck by a huge change. POW Interactive, ran by Paul Warshawski and Luhan Wei, purchased Jasco Games and relaunches the game as the My Hero Academia CCG, to many a mixed opinion. While it managed to onboard new players, their focus on the singular IP for 2 years also left a sour taste in some veteran players' mouths. Noticing their focus solely on MHA, Jasco switch up their approach, fully rebranding to UVS Games and leaning into the multiple universe aspect of the card game with the release of the Cowboy Bebop and Trigun Stampede Challenger decks. Since then, we've received a diverse range of IPs, ranging from Critical Role to Attack on Titan to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, while also returning to previous franchises such as Tekken, Street Fighter and Yu Yu Hakusho. As of 2025, UVS have launched their second card game to great success and popularity, Riftbound. But that's enough history. Part 3. How do you play UVS? While not a mechanically complex game, UVS plays very differently to most TCGs. This section will be a brief overview, but if you'd like a more in-depth explanation of the game, feel free to check out these videos. First things first, card types. With the release of the Guilty Gear set, there are now 7 card types: Character, Foundation, Attack, Asset, Action, Backup and Token. Character. This is the character you play. Think of them as your commander in Magic, except they're always out in the field. This is where your health and hand size is stated and what you'll build your decks around. Foundations. These are the backbone or foundation to your board state. With these, they'll give you utility to anything from buffing your own attacks and debuffing your opponents to letting you draw more cards. Attacks. Pretty self-explanatory. You swing at these to hurt your opponent. Each have their own damage, speed and attack zone. We'll go over them soon. Asset. They're little tools and weapons used for all manner of things from healing, buffing your defense, or making your attacks hit harder. Actions. Cards that can be played from your hand at any point for a variety of effects, typically to surprise your opponent. Backups. Little support characters that add another target for your rival to attack while backing up your character. Token. a new addition for 2026. These are cards that don't exist in your deck and can be generated by other cards. That's all well and good, but how do you actually play the game? This will be an oversimplified explanation which will overlook certain specific rules such as turn order and mulliganing. Step 1. Ready or untap all cards currently in your stage. Step 2. Draw to your hand size. Unlike most games where you draw 1 or 2 cards a turn, Universus has you drawing to your maximum. Step 3. Play cards. Along the top of the playmat is where the card pool is. Place the card you want to play in the card pool and check to see if you can. Checks are made by looking at the difficulty of the card in the top left, milling the top card of your deck and then comparing it with the control of the mill card located in the bottom row. If the control is equal to or greater than the difficulty, you succeed and can continue playing cards in your card pool. However, the more cards you play, the harder it gets. With each card you play, you add the total number of preceding cards in your card pool to the difficulty. This is known as progressive difficulty. If the control is lower than the difficulty, you can choose to either commit either your foundations or your character card to make up the missing cost, with each one being an additional 1 to the check. Once you choose to stop playing cards or fail a control check, you pass your turn to your opponent. But wait, how do you attack then? Well spotted. When you play and check an attack card, you enter what is known as the attack sequence. Step 4. An attack is made up of 3 components: speed, attack zone, and damage. For this card, we can see the attack is 4 speed, with the arrow being pointed towards the middle indicating a mid attack, the other 2 zones of course being high and low. Beneath that, we see the damage is 5. This is fairly standard for an attack, but we can make it better. We have now entered the enhance step. Once an attack has been played, you and your opponent take it in turns, triggering the enhance abilities on your cards. Let's look at our stage. We can see here that Cruel Intent has an enhance that works. When playing an enhance, anything before the colon is the cost of playing this ability. In this case, we flip the card, and then the effect triggers. This will give our slam attack plus 2 speed. There's also a secondary effect, but that doesn't matter yet. Our opponent chooses to pass, so it goes back to us. We'll use Rocksteady's ability to give our attack plus 5 damage, as well as adding a face down card to our card pool. Now this doesn't have a cost to play it, so you might be thinking, can I just spam this one enhance over and over again? Enhancers can only be played once for attack, meaning it can't be used again this attack, but if we play another attack we can use it again. I think this is enough enhancers for now, so now that both players have passed enhancers, it moves over to the block step. Blocks are very simple. This attack is coming at them for 6 speed in the middle zone for 10 damage. All our opponent has to do is play a card in their hand and match the speed of our attack to block it. They've played virtuous plans. To determine whether or not they can block it, they need to match the total of the following calculation: attack speed plus block modifier plus progressive difficulty. The keen-eye amongst you might have noticed that the block zone is low, not mid. In this situation, it becomes a partial block, meaning you take half damage, rounded up. Our opponent checks and commits to pass the check, but that's not everything. Their card has a responsibility, flipping the attack in our card pool. Even though our attack did damage, the attack being flipped means it cannot go into our momentum pool. Players keep playing attacks and attack sequences until one player loses all their health. And that's a game of Universus. Part 4. Formats. Having gone through a typical game of Universus, you might be thinking if there's other ways of playing, and you'd be right in thinking that. Here's a selection of both official and unofficial formats for the game. Standard. Decks must be made up of cards from the past 2 years of sets. Retro. The original way to play the game. The differing rules being able to attack turn 1, not locking your character into a symbol, and symbol chaining. All non-ban cards starting from standard for the first Jasko set are allowed. Rochester Retro. A modified rule set of Retro, bringing the gameplay closer to standard while allowing the same card list as Retro. As of writing this video, Rochester Retro has been turned into more standardized Retro. Spotlight. The same as standard, except deck building is limited to a single IP. Hero 2. A recent addition playing the same way as standard but allows cards from My Hero Academia Set 1 and onwards. 3v3. A new format introduced with 2026's King of Fighters Challenger series. Instead of a best of 3, you pick 3 characters and once one is knocked out, you switch. Teams. 2 teams of 3 play against each other, roll-offs choosing matchups. Each player on the team cannot share a symbol or a starting character. Triple Threat. A 1v1v1 format where the winner is the first player to knock out either of the other players. Part 5. How do I get started? Depending on the kind of player you are, there are many ways to begin playing Universus. If you want to pick up a deck and just start playing, I'd recommend either of these 2 Clash decks, or any of the Challenger series. If you're a fan of deck building or wanting to create master sets, I'd recommend the 2 newer sets at the time of writing. Guilty Gear Strive, as it's a smaller set and you're more likely to get the cards you want, and Godzilla, because the wide cast of characters allows you to find a playstyle that you'd enjoy the most. Part 6. Where can you play UVS? Now that you've got your cards, you're likely wanting to play with them. There's a few options you can go for. Using the UVS Games website, you can search for local game stores near you to find any upcoming local events. However, due to the smaller nature of the game, it's likely that your local store may not host the game. If you have a dedicated community around you, talk to your LGS and see if they'll host events for you. Universus is a community-driven game in every sense of the word, so it's down to us to make sure this game continues on. But convincing your LGS to add another game may not be the easiest thing to do, so there's other options. Option 1. Webcams. Setting up with playmat, dangling a webcam above it and streaming it to another player may be janky, but it's one method the community uses often enough, with some LGSs and content creators hosting entire webcam events. Option 2. TTS. Another option would be Tabletop Simulator. Using these workshop items, you can import decks and play your games out with other players. Option 3. Universus Sim. Now this one's going to come with a lot of caveats. There isn't much in the way of an official simulator for Universus like Magic the Gathering Arena or Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, due to the IP licensing hell this game is. However, there is a fan-made simulator in the works. It's currently in an early alpha state, so it's not something I can recommend right away. But if it progresses and gets better, I may make a video on it. Other resources. Now that you know how to get started, I'm going to fire off a bunch of other really useful resources for this game. UVS Ultra Online /Universus.cards. 2 incredible card lookup resources and deck building sites. UVS Ultra is the preferred website for people in America and Europe, whereas Universus.cards is typically more used in the people in the UK. Personally, I prefer UVS cards a lot more due to the collection tracker element and the overall visual presentation, but please try both and find one that works for you. The official Universus Discord, the best place to find players online, to ask questions about the game, and to get the latest news about upcoming sets and tournaments. The Universus subreddit, similar to the Discord server, but nowhere near as active. My Hero Calc UVS Life Counter, an app that most people use for life tracking and attack calculations, an absolutely godly app if you play mostly in person. Final thoughts. This is going to be all off script and top of my head, so it's not going to be as well written or spoken as the main video. I just wanted to discuss my history with the game and TCGs in general. I've never really been one for TCGs. There's something about it being young and not understanding how complex they can get, not having the money to buy them or whatever. I didn't really start playing until my mid-20s. And so I tried Magic the Gathering, couldn't really get it, and then I had this game introduced to me. And due to my love of fighting games, I felt a lot more connected to it, I guess would be the right word to use. Where the mechanics and everything just felt right, it flowed really well. And I've come to really love this game, and then in turn come to love other card games like, Magic the Gathering. I think it is an incredible game that people really don't play enough, and I think that's the biggest flaw of it currently, is that not enough people are playing it. And people are playing stuff like Riftbound, and that's great because that's still money being sent to the developers of the game and the company, which means they can keep producing the game that I love. So yes, this is just me saying, play this damn game. Even if it's just playing online, even if it's just maybe creating a master set. I don't know, just get involved, because there is a lot of great stuff coming up. We've got the final My Hero Challenger deck at the time of recording. It's probably out by the time I release the video. We have the Tekken set. We have the next Street Fighter thing. We've got Fairy Tail, even though I'm not a big fan of the manga/anime. That's going to be another great onboarding point for a lot of people. And We have confirmation that next year we're getting an entire Invincible set, and I think this game is gonna just keep exploring all these new IPs and also going back to old ones, and it's just, I don't know, this game is just amazing and people just play this damn game, you know. And this is so rambly. If you have already dropped out of this video at this point, that's fine, it doesn't matter. But yes, thank you for sticking around watching the video. Go subscribe to these content creators that I'm flashing on the screen. They're great people, one of whom has been my local team who have taught me so much about the game. And yes, thank you. I don't know how to sign off videos. Bye.